All right, all right. Hey guys, Sam here. It's mid-morning on October 30th, and I got a few pivots here and some action in Bitcoin from over the weekend. So a few things that we can look at and maybe make some evaluations based on the price action that we're seeing here from the last 24 hours. Now, I've made some adjustments here. This is the reference chart I've been using from Bitstamp. This is Bitcoin to the dollar on the 4-hour on Bitstamp. And have made some modifications here. I think I've got a count on here that works better than what I had previously. So I think we have two expanded flats in a row here. So this it makes better sense down here as our 1-2 with an expanded flat, and then we're seeing that again, and we've gone into this triangle formation. So as you can see here, I because of the three-wave nature of this move here, that has me leaning towards a B wave here. And we've put in a C, D, E, and I think, as you can see, the triangle started to contract even tighter, with the median line remaining as the return to the mean, right? That's the idea behind it. So the geometry of the market has been very consistent with this Schiff pitchfork applied to it, and as you can see now, we've had this little breakout from this just simple downsloping trend line here to define that triangle, and we've gone to and through the 100%, but we've got some targets up above with an expectation that we may be back to visit the median line, but then we've got some upside targets here to put in a fifth of this count as we have it outlined here now. So looking at the 4-hour, so we can open this up a little bit and then see how the swings are responding, and are we technical? So if we go to the larger swing, and I just pull from this low to high. Well, of course, here, as we've looked at previously, we went to and through the 6.5, the 618 held it, so we have this deep retracement to complete the ABC, and the expectation was that perhaps 1-2, and we'll look at that on a smaller time frame to see if that's a possibility for us. Given that as our pull here from this, you can see that target remains up here, thus the box I have here. So that algo target remains. It has yet to be met, and here's our negative 23.6 and then our negative 618 up above. So if we look to the smaller pull, and I go from this swing to this one here, well, we're shallow on this. We've only gotten to the 382. We'd like to see that come between the 50 to the 618, and that still may be the case. But you see, we get this nice overlap here. We get a little confluence zone, which is a likely target. We know algos will want to see that met, and they'll be buying to get it there. When we go down to some smaller time frames, we'll fine tune. But let's also look at the alternate price projection. So if I pull from major swing low to major swing high, and I add in that from the D, then you see we get this overlap. So we have this. Here's the 100%. So this A to B length projected from the C gives us this confluence zone right up here where we see this tight overlap. Then we can see up above where the negative 618. So we get kind of a range here. So really you'd have multiple targets up here. So there's our 100%, there's our 1618. So we get these pockets where we're likely to see, if we're going to continue to move higher, those would be targets we'd expect the market to visit if we're going to stay on this roadmap. So let's go down, this being our likely next target. One other thing I wanted to show you this, if I open this up. One of the reasons that it's often a good idea to keep these trend lines on your chart after they've been broken is that the market can very often come back to revisit them from the other side. So if I dial that in right exactly off of those swing pivots, you see we get this little confluence zone here where we have the 618, the 65 box that we love. And if I put a little buy box there, that would overlap quite nicely. So we get this intersection of these trend lines right at that 61865 bucks. So if we're going to come down again, that would definitely be an area on your chart that you'd want to alarm if we start to retrace more deeply. And of course, coincidentally or not, right at the median line. So this would be a high probability zone here to be a buyer, looking for unmet targets up above where we have this confluence. And then of course we line up with the 100% here. So a very, very high probability zone here. That would, I can promise you I'll be looking to be a buyer there if we're going to get there. But nothing says we have to come down there. So let's go down to a smaller time frame, take a look at it, and see what we can learn. So I'm going to go from the 4 hour to the 1 hour, and we can consider a few possibilities here. Now, one of the things we would of course look at, because I'm making some assumptions here on the larger chart, that we have an A, B, C is in for the expanded flat. We have all of the criteria met for this to work as a C wave, and we get the A, we get the 3-wave B, and then we get an ending diagonal to complete that C wave. Well, one possibility, of course, is that we're putting in, rather than a DE, the simplest resolution here would be a 1-2. And we can, so you can see here I've got, the alternate really laid up on top of this as an alternate contender. Is this DE or is it 1-2? Well, here's where Elliott can be advantageous to us. So we have a rule set that lets us organize this and quantify this so that we can make sense of it and look for the next high probability zone and stay aligned with the trend. So if this were to be a 1-2, and there is a 5 wave for this to qualify as a 1, although we'd have to pull this over here to allow for this as a double top to finish that. So we get a 1, 2, 3. Here's our 4. We complete the 5. It's a slight truncation. I believe it misses by $1 or $2 as a new high. So if that were to be a 1, 2, well, we know that in our Elliott rule set that the third wave cannot be the shortest wave, so we can't quantify anything other than its relationship to the first wave. So we can take an alternate price projection from this low to this high. If this is a 1 wave and this is our 2 wave, well, the third has to do at least 100% of the first wave to qualify. So you can see here right at the median line we get this intersection here where we'd have the third reaching 100% of the first. Now, if we're going to retrace down and we're not going to make that, we got close, but at least here on this Kraken, which happens to be where I'm trading it, we don't get the 100%. So if that's the case and we're going to come down here and we're looking for an impulsive move here, we can disqualify that if we're going to break the 1 high. So as we come down here looking to threaten that, here fairly quickly, we'd then be suspicious of that count as a 1-2 because we have not made the 100%. We're overlapping the 1. Now it still can move in an impulsive fashion. We then have a leading diagonal potentially to take us out of this if the 4 is if we're going to overlap here, which if you just pull some fibs from it, it would not be unreasonable for us to look at this and say, okay, well, the 382, we've already come a few ticks from it here. If we're going to go to the 50, well, we're going to overlap the 1, so it can still be a 5-wave structure, but it's going to be a leading diagonal, which we know can be found in our 1 wave. So if we're going to continue to move higher, then this would be our 1 wave of whatever fifth takes shape down here, assuming we're going to continue to head higher here. So this is absolutely an area to alarm. If we hold above it, then we can with confidence look at this and say, well, potentially, nothing says we have to hit it here. We could hit it here. We could hit it here. But we want to be monitoring this relationship here and be conscious of where we are in relation to potentially a 1 wave. Now, let's consider the alternative. So I'm going to take the 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take the impulsive, the 5-wave structure off. If that is a DE, then we're looking for, again, just an impulse, but this could just be this could just be our 1. So rather than this as our 1, 2, the DE completes the triangle, and now we have an expectation for a 1, 2 to lead us into the 1 wave of whatever we're putting in up here. So if you follow that, so let me take this off just to try and clarify it. So I'm going to take all of this off. So if indeed this is our 1, so we would have then this, so it would change slightly. So this would be our 1 wave. So now we're looking at the 2 wave here rather than here, and our expectation is for a 2 wave to go between the 50, and I guess I got to finish this. So sorry guys. It makes you finish the clicks. So then we have that possibility. So we'd expect it to take that out because we want to be a buyer down here at the 50 to the 618. That's the most likely. If we look at the oscillators, that is certainly a contender on the 60-minute. If we're going to get down into that lower region where we get the energy for that move, now our expectation is to be looking to be a buyer at the 50, as that's the high probability zone. We know that's the algo entry target. They'll buy it, and take it all the way to the 6.5 and flip on the other side if it's going to go further. So our expectation now is that we would be looking for some stability here as we reach the outside edge of the median line with this as a target, right? And the expectation being, so if we're going to see that, and again this is hypothetical because we don't know yet if that's there, but if this is our 1 and we're going to come down and challenge the 50 here for the 2, well then actually our 3, well here becomes the minimum. Here's the 100%. In maroon here, that's 100% of this wave 1. The high probability target is up here, as that would be the 1618 to the 175. So if we're going to go 1, 2, and we're going up for a 3, we've got a few targets here that we can look at. So here's one here between the 100% and the negative 618 of that pull. The 272 right in the middle, here's the negative 100, and then here's our high probability zone for that third up here. So now we're pushing 7,000 up here. That's 6920. So the roadmap gives us a few scenarios. Maybe we're here, and then we're going up here, and we might have to modify the, whoops, I do that all the time. We modify the pitchfork, or we add the 150 or the 200 as we did on the larger time frame. But right now, there's no reason to assume we're going to go outside of the pitchfork. The expectation is, we kind of got to wait and see. So we want to see the depth of this retracement. Can we get the 50? Is just the structure of this high going to hold it? That wouldn't disqualify it as a 2. It would just be a shallow 2. So that would not be unlikely. So let's go down to look at the smaller time frame and see if this works. So here we have it as, so if this is our triangle, as in CDE. All right, well then we can look at this and say, okay, well we got to the median line, we went just shy of it here, so that could be our 1 wave. Coming down here, we've just hit the front edge of the Vegas wave, which we've got this splitting the difference here. Here's our entry. We want to be down here, and that lines up rather nicely. So you may have, ideally, you're going to catch it, right on the corner. That would be the absolute perfect trade. So nothing wrong with having some limits right there to see if you can get it, just perfectly. But don't be surprised if it gets front run because of that structure there. Previous resistance offering the support. Vegas wave, you're in between the 38 and the 50, so certainly a contender. Now you can look here. I can open this up. You see we've got that nice 3-wave structure. So potentially, that's the A wave. We might see another leg down to complete a 5-wave of an A wave. So we might go into traditional zigzag. What are the tells? Well, of course we've got to look at this, and if we're going to come back up and say, okay, well, is this move down? Is this the ABC enough to complete it? Well, we can't really say with any certainty until we're pushing the 786 and challenging that high. All right, so we got a couple of contenders here. So right now, all I can see is an ABC on the 15-minute to tell me either that's my completion. This would be my 2. That would be the lower probability. So the higher probability play is to look for this to subdivide because we're down on the 15 minute. So we'd look for maybe something along those lines. Or, or we go deeper and we get outside the median line. I mean, two wave, if it's going to be a two, can go here. We've got all these potential zones here. So you have to adjust this on the fly as the market reveals its movement. So right now, possibly an A. Clearly an ABC, but on this scale, I'd like to see a little more subdivision. I'd like to get, if this is me, you certainly could have been a buyer here, right? You got the Vegas wave, you're at the 3A2, we're in a bull market. We've had we've had a completed 5-wave sequence. Nothing wrong with being a buyer there. Just know that you got to be looking for that resistance on the way back as a potential B wave. So likely, this is a nice little, day trade. Nothing wrong with that. So if you're looking there, you're going to have some resistance when you come up to this little pocket here between the 50 and the 618. So how does it respond there? Ideally for us, we'd be looking for this into the B wave, and then we'd finish down here on the C. And you can see here, if that's the case, again, this is all hypothetical because we're not there yet. If we're going to put in the B, then from that B, the algo target is the negative 23 down here, and then you get this little tight box. So you've got this between the 50 and the negative 23.6 as a potential C wave, right? So too soon to be definitive about it. So if you didn't take that just because you're aggressive and you like the 382 and there's the Vegas wave, I did not take that. I absolutely will take it down here. I want to see a little more subdivision because I'm looking at a 15-minute chart. So I'm going to expect that subdivision. All right, does that give you some clarity, some idea of where we're likely to go? I think that's enough here. We've got a couple of alternate counts sticking with the primary on the larger time frame, right? So if this confuses you or it's just too much detail or you don't have the time to really manage this throughout the course of the day, when in doubt, go back to your 4-hour. And look at your contenders here. So here's a good looking entry right here. We know we've got targets up here. We've got some, if this breaks down, there are some alternate possibilities. If this is going to break down, we still have this down here as a deeper retracement. But right now, this looks like the most probable roadmap to continue this trend higher. All right, so we keep watching and we monitor and we look for those high probability zones where we can enter with tight risk control with good targets. So this one, just looking at that, I mean, this would be just a gift if we get that. Look at that risk reward. So you can be very tight on that. You don't even, you could be right there. That's you're 4-1 here on the first target. Nothing wrong with that. And some upper targets here because we're optimistic about some of these upper targets getting hit. So if we're going up to the 1618, we well, then we got 9.5 to 1. Right? No reason to give this too much room beyond the median line, beyond the 786. So, actually you could be tighter if you wanted to. So there's 13 to 1. So areas to mark on your charts as contenders for entry, looking for the next leg up. All right, there's 18 minutes. That's probably enough. Okay, I'll wrap it there, guys.